At 5:30 p.m. on February 2nd, 2008, 24-year-old real estate agent Lindsay Buziak entered a vacant house with an unknown man and woman. They wanted $1 million house and were in a rush to buy one. Lindsay was still new at the job and couldn't understand why or how she had been referred to the couple. Still, she was excited about her first big sale and found a house that fit their requirements. Upon entering the vacant house, Lindsay first showed them the downstairs floor. The house was big and had everything the couple asked for. Lindsay received a text message from her boyfriend Jason asking for directions. She quickly replied while the couple were looking around. A few minutes later, Lindsay led the couple up the stairs to show them the bedrooms. She entered the master bedroom but barely spoke a word when a knife plunged into her back. She was stabbed multiple times and slumped to the floor. The couple vanished from the house, never to be seen again. Who was the mystery couple, and why did they kill Lindsay? Lindsay Elizabeth Buziak was born on November 2nd, 1983. Her father Jeff worked as a real estate agent and her mother Evelyn was a stay-at-home mother. Evelyn described Lindsay as smart and full of joy. She was bright, friendly with everyone, and kind. When Lindsay and her younger sister Sarah were children, their parents split, so they primarily lived with their mother near Victoria, British Columbia, while their father moved to Calgary. When Lindsay was 18, she started dating Matt McDuff, who later described their relationship as stormy. The couple's relationship would end in 2006, around the same time that Lindsay passed her real estate exam. She had been enrolled in school to become a real estate agent and met Jason Zalo in a workshop. Once licensed, Lindsay would meet Jason again, and soon they became romantically involved. Lindsay liked that he wasn't a drug user and was impressed that both he and his mother Shirley Zalo were real estate agents themselves. She was excited to be part of their inner circle. In 2007, Shirley Zalo bought a lakeside house after the death of her parents. It was a vacation spot that she allowed family and friends to use. In the summer, Jason and Lindsay stayed at the house in the basement suite. Eventually, Lindsay started working with Jason and Shirley at Remax Brokerage, where she was involved in 8 property transactions worth $3.2 million. She and Jason moved into a 1-bedroom condo together in Victoria, but towards the end of 2007, according to friends, Lindsay was having doubts about the relationship. She told her friend Vicky Mackey that she wasn't happy and was considering breaking up with Jason. Jason has long denied that the couple were unhappy. He said Lindsay was not going to break up with him, but of course, it's possible that Lindsay was having doubts but did not discuss these thoughts with Jason. It's not uncommon to be broken up with, seemingly out of the blue. But after a trip to Whistler with the Zalo family, Lindsay said that she was feeling better about the relationship and that they just needed to spend more time together. Unfortunately, Lindsay would not see much of 2008. At the end of January 2008, Lindsay received a phone call to her personal cell phone from an unknown number. The caller was a woman, and according to Lindsay, had a weird accent, possibly Spanish. The woman said her husband was being transferred for work from Vancouver to Victoria, and they needed a home right away. They needed to purchase one within the next 3 days. They were looking for houses with at least 3 bedrooms and a separate area for a maid. Their budget was $1 million, and the house had to be vacant and new. This excited Lindsay, since it would be her first big sale, but since Lindsay had not made a name for herself yet, she was surprised that the man and woman had called her. When asked who referred her, the woman said it was a friend of her husband's. Lindsay saved the woman's number in her contacts as $1 million and began looking for properties. She did not have any 7-figure properties of her own, but she could still sell another agent's listing and still make a decent commission. She came up with a list and emailed them to the client. It doesn't appear that Lindsay took the callers' names. It's not clear how the caller got Lindsay's cell number. If realtors' cell numbers were not usually given out, then it would appear that the caller got her cell number from someone that knew Lindsay. There would be 10 more phone calls between the client and Lindsay as she prepared to show the client some houses. On the evening of February 1st, the night before the showing, according to Shirley Zalo, she turned up at Lindsay and Jason's condo and overheard Lindsay on the phone with the couple. According to Shirley, Lindsay gave them the address of the first house viewing, 1702 D'Souza Place in Gordon Head. But Shirley is the only source that says Lindsay gave the couple the address. Did she really? Or did the couple tell Lindsay the house they wanted to see? According to Shirley, she and Lindsay had sushi together that night. According to Lindsay's friends, she never mentioned this. Shirley said she offered to show the houses for Lindsay, but not because she was weirded out or afraid. Lindsay was involved in planning a surprise bachelorette party for her friend in Vancouver the next evening. Shirley knew about this and offered to show the houses to the couple so that Lindsay could go to Vancouver, but Lindsay declined the offer. Sometime that evening, the burner phone used by the couple to contact Lindsay travelled from Vancouver to Victoria. When Lindsay arrived home, Jason was still out playing hockey. She waited up for him and was still awake when he got home around midnight. Jason also offered to show the house for her and remarked that Lindsay was more inquisitive than concerned. She was still surprised that the couple called her, since she had such limited experience. They say when something is too good to be true, it probably is. The next morning, while Lindsay was out, the couple's home phone rang. Jason answered it and heard what to him sounded like a broken Spanish accent. The woman had called looking for Lindsay. Jason offered her cell phone number, but the woman said she already had it. Police believe that the killers may have gone to the house or used MapQuest ahead of time to scope the place out and familiarize themselves with escape routes. At 2 p.m., Lindsay was at the Remax head office, and according to court documents, she was freaking out. She asked 2 co-workers to search the caller's phone number and name in the database, but the search came up empty. Lindsay turned down offers from co-workers who said they could show the house with her to make her feel more comfortable. But Lindsay declined because she had arranged for her boyfriend Jason to be there with her. She felt safe knowing Jason would look out for her. At 3:30 p.m., Lindsay and Jason met for lunch at Source on Wharf Street. While eating, she showed him feature sheets of the property she was planning to show the couple. According to Jason, he again offered to show the house for her, but she declined. They paid the bill at 4:24 p.m. and left. After lunch, Lindsay went home to change and get ready for the viewings. Jason went to an auto detailing shop. He told police that he went there because he needed to talk with the owners about a real estate deal. While there, he received a phone call from his friend Cohen Oatman, who he played hockey with. Cohen arrived at the auto shop and got into Jason's Range Rover. The pair were going to have dinner and a few beers. According to Jason, at 5 p.m, he got a call from Lindsay, and she asked him to meet her at the D'Souza house. He told Cohen he wanted to check on her. Lindsay texted Jason the address of the house. At 5:30 p.m, security footage shows Jason and Cohen leaving the shop. Jason's account contradicts what Lindsay's co-workers said. They claim that Lindsay had already arranged for Jason to be there for the viewing, but Jason said she hadn't, and him going there was spontaneous. Just before 5:30 p.m, Lindsay arrived at the house located at 1702 D'Souza Place, but the house was a new build, so it didn't show up on Jason's GPS. He asked Lindsay for directions, but before she could give them to him, she said she had to go because the Mexicans are here. Eyewitnesses saw Lindsay shake hands with the $1 million couple. They described the man as Caucasian, tall with dark hair and wearing a long jacket. The woman was Caucasian with short blonde hair and a dress with a wavy pattern. Lindsay led the couple inside the house and began showing them the downstairs rooms. As the couple looked around, Lindsay texted Jason directions, but Jason had already called his brother for directions and was on his way. He sent Lindsay a text at 5:38 p.m. saying he was a couple of minutes away. That text went unopened. Jason pulled up in his Range Rover at about 5:45 p.m, and his headlights caught the silhouette of a man by the open front door. Suddenly, the door closed, and Jason took that as a sign that they had just entered the house and the showing was beginning. Why didn't Jason immediately go into the house? According to Jason, Lindsay had asked him not to make his presence known, so he turned around in a neighbor's driveway and parked his vehicle away from the cul-de-sac. According to Jason, he texted Lindsay again asking if she was okay, but he got no response. According to police, the last text he sent to Lindsay was the 5:38 p.m. text saying he was a couple of minutes away. At 6 p.m, Jason and Cohen got out of the car and walked up to the front of the house. They peered inside and saw Lindsay's shoes, but there was no movement inside. The door was locked, so he rang the doorbell several times, but no one answered. Starting to panic now, he called his mother, who called the listing agent and got the code to the garage, but unfortunately, it didn't work, and the garage remained closed. Jason was really concerned now. He thought they should break a window to get inside, but Cohen suggested he call the police. So Jason called 911 and explained the situation to the operator. Meanwhile, Cohen went around the back of the house to look for an entry. He signaled to Jason that there was a back patio. Looking over the wooden fence, they saw a cracked open door that led from the kitchen to the backyard. Jason gave Cohen a leg up, and he climbed over the fence and ran into the house. He unlocked the front door to let Jason in. Cohen searched downstairs, while Jason ran upstairs yelling Lindsay's name. But before he reached the top of the stairs, he saw her. Lindsay was slumped against the bedroom wall in a pool of blood. Jason called out for Cohen, who ran upstairs, and at 6:11 p.m., Cohen called 911 while Jason tried to perform CPR. According to him, he could hear air escaping from her punctured lungs. CPR wasn't going to save her. Jason said he was in shock when he found her, and he still agonizes over arriving too late. "I think about it all the time," he said. "If I was 10 minutes earlier, if I went with her, would she still be alive?" Police and paramedics soon arrived at the scene. Lindsay was pronounced dead. She had no defensive wounds, meaning she was caught off guard and stabbed from behind. None of her possessions were stolen, and she was not assaulted. The police brought in a canine unit, but the dogs could not pick up a scent. Officers went from door to door and searched backyards with their flashlights, hoping to find evidence. Jason and Cohen were taken to the police station for questioning, which made Jason mad. He said the police took way too long to begin questioning him, and said they were wasting their time when they should have had cop cars out searching for the killers. The murder happened on Vancouver Island, and if travelling by vehicle, the only way off the island is via ferry. If police did search right away, they could have potentially closed the ferry ports, blocking access to the Canadian mainland. You could also get a ferry to the United States from the island, and police could have informed border control to look out for the couple. The other way off the island is to fly or sail your own boat. There are no bridges off the island, so it would have been impossible to walk or drive off without catching a ferry. While the island is big, had police blocked the ferry terminals and notified border control, they may have prevented the killers from escaping the island. Jason cooperated with police and handed over his cell phone and laptop and took a polygraph test. He also took part in a filmed reenactment showing how he and Cohen discovered Lindsay. Jason has always maintained that he had nothing to do with Lindsay's murder. Although Jeff Buziak, Lindsay's dad, said Jason showed no signs of grief, Lindsay's sister Sarah said Jason was sad, confused, and hurt. "I guess I'm just the easiest target," Jason told Capital Daily. But Jason was not considered a suspect, and neither was anyone in the Zalo family. A forensic pathologist stated that Lindsay had only been stabbed with one knife, meaning only one of the couple actually did the killing, but it's unknown if it was the man or the woman. It's also unknown if they wore gloves while shaking Lindsay's hand. There was no DNA or fingerprints left at the scene. The coroner put her death at 5:40 p.m., which would have been a few minutes before Jason arrived. The next day, police searched Lindsay's cell phone and got a court order to receive information about the killer's phone. They learned that it was a prepaid phone and had been purchased at the 7-Eleven on Davies Street in Vancouver. It was activated online just a few days before the murder. It was then deactivated afterwards. The phone had not been used for any other purpose other than to communicate with Lindsay. The phone was registered under the name Paulo Rodriguez, but police believe this is a fictitious name. Police went to investigate the convenience store, but CCTV footage of the purchase had been deleted by that point. The police also discovered that Lindsay's phone had made a call to a friend she hadn't spoken to in a long time during the attack. It's believed that due to the muffled sounds left on the person's voicemail, that this was an accidental call. Without much evidence to go on, but believing the murder was planned, police turned to Lindsay and Jason's online activities for clues. Looking at the couple's laptop, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the RCMP, found that data related to internet chat communications had been deleted. The officer who examined the laptop said that chat messages had been erased. Another officer who looked at Lindsay's Facebook page noted that none of her 700 friends had posted on Lindsay's wall between January the 24th and February the 3rd, which was odd and inconsistent with the usual activity on her Facebook wall. After a closer look, officers believed that messages had been deleted. A court order was filed to obtain information, but it's unknown what exactly Facebook returned. The officers noted, however, that only the user could delete messages off their own wall when logged in with their account. None of Lindsay's friends or family had any information about the deleted messages, but investigators also discovered that some of Lindsay's Facebook friends were known drug dealers and criminals. The police believed that this was a well-planned murder, and Lindsay was targeted and lured to the house. Their initial theory was that Lindsay may have been falsely identified as an informant, which is based on a few events. When Lindsay visited her father in Calgary in December 2007, she spent time with him, but she also went out with friends. According to Capital Daily, one of these friends was involved in a major drug operation that police had been investigating. On January 22, 2008, under Operation High Noon, police searched a vehicle outside a home on Hawthorne Drive in northwest Calgary, where they found 5 kilograms of cocaine. They got a warrant to search the home and found a further 20 kilograms. A safe in the garage contained 42 kilograms, and another search of vehicles revealed a further 13 kilograms, totaling 80 kilograms of cocaine worth $8 million. At the time, it was described as Alberta's largest cocaine bust in history. This cocaine was traced back to the Sinaloa cartel run by El Chapo. According to Jeff Buziak, Lindsay told him that she saw something she shouldn't have, but he has never revealed the details of what she supposedly said. Lindsay also did something quite odd. After returning to Victoria, Lindsay visited the Facebook profile of a relative of Erickson del Alcazar, who was involved in the drug operation. She then tried to contact the relative by phone. The Del Alcazar brothers lived in Victoria, just 20 minutes away from the murder house. Police said they don't know the nature of the call, why she phoned them, or why she visited their Facebook profile. It is also unknown if Lindsay saw Erickson del Alcazar or his relative when she was in Calgary. So did Lindsay tip off the police? In November 2007, just 3 months before Lindsay's murder, police in Calgary got a phone call from someone in Victoria who told them of a large drug shipment heading from British Columbia to Alberta. Police have repeatedly made it clear that Lindsay was not an informant and had nothing to do with the Operation High Noon. So the informant must have been someone else. One of the men charged in Operation High Noon was Mexican citizen Leopold Beltran. Leo was in charge of some of the operations in Calgary and apparently was enraged that someone had informed the police about their operation. Leo's sister, Amila, was also involved in the operation, and curiously, both of them share a resemblance to the $1 Million couple. They're both fair-skinned, and Amila is blonde. Further, Leo's wife Trudy has 2 brothers who are close friends with the Del Alcazar family. One of the main associates of the Del Alcazar family was Vid Acevedo, and he was dating a woman who happened to work at the same Remax office that Lindsay did. This woman and Lindsay were good friends, and Vid lived just 11 minutes from the murder house. It seems that Lindsay was connected to people involved in the drug bust, at least loosely. How much she knew about the operation is unknown. It's possible that she was made a scapegoat to save someone else. Knowing that she was a realtor, it's possible the killers lured her to a house they knew would be empty with an easy escape route. It's possible they told Lindsay of the house at D'Souza Place. Some people still put a lot of stock in this drug connection theory, while others think the murder was too amateurish to be a cartel hit. They think the murderer was likely someone close to Lindsay, perhaps someone in the real estate industry. Since the murder, some people have pointed fingers at Shirley and Jason Zalo. Shirley sued Jeff Buziak in 2022 for defamation in regards to his website, lindsaybuziakmurder.com, where posts published allegedly accused her of committing the crime. Shirley has said that allegations have damaged her family's business dramatically, as fewer and fewer people want anything to do with her. Jason Zalo said, "You shouldn't be able to just throw people's names out there and call them, murderers and all the awful things that they've said with no knowledge or with no proof." While Lindsay's father does much to keep Lindsay's name alive in the hopes that the case will be solved, he has been accused of alleging false claims in the past. In 2017, 2 volunteer administrators for his website, who had worked with him for years, stepped down and accused Jeff of feeding them misinformation about Lindsay's death. In December 2018, a retired RCMP officer, Gary Rogers, sent Jeff an email and told him he wanted to help with the case. Rogers said that Jeff then showed up at his house unannounced. After they spoke, Rogers said that he felt Jeff was lying about some aspects of his daughter's murder. He said, I was pathologically lied to and then personally attacked online by the dad. Rogers told Capital Daily in 2020 that somebody has to call him out on this, and the way he's vilified the Zalo family and the Saanich police is just unacceptable. But there is one unconfirmed event related to the Zalos that has left many people confused, but it's unknown where this information originally came from. Apparently, in late 2008, a few months after Lindsay was killed, Lindsay's friend Nikki received a phone call from an unknown number in the middle of the night. She doesn't remember what the caller said, but she does remember that the caller was female and had a strange accent. This spooked Nikki because she remembered that Lindsay said her $1 million client spoke with a strange, possibly fake accent. So Nikki called the unknown number back. She called 20 or 30 times before the call was eventually answered by Shirley Zalo. Nikki asked Shirley why she called her since they did not know each other, and according to Nikki, Shirley said she was looking for her secretary, also named Nikki. She doesn't know how this Nikki's number got in her phone, but suspected that her son Jason added it. Shirley has since denied this event occurred, and it is unknown if this event actually happened or investigated. If the event did happen, it still doesn't prove anything. If the first phone call happened in the middle of the night, it's possible Nikki was awoken and not in a clear state of mind when she heard the woman speak. Maybe it sounded like a weird accent because Nikki was half asleep. If Shirley really was trying to reach her secretary, she would not fake an accent. And if Shirley did fake an accent, why would she call Lindsay's friend Nikki? There is also Jason Zalo's own drug connection. He was friends with Ziggy Matheson and Chris Schwartz. Ziggy even accompanied the Zalos and Lindsay on their Whistler trip. He was a drug trafficker who beat his girlfriend unrecognizable with the butt of a gun and escaped a murder conviction when someone else took the fall. Chris was a drug dealer who had many convictions related to drugs, assaults, and theft. He lived in the same building as Jason and Lindsay, and after Jason left the police station on the night of the murder, Jason went to visit Chris at his apartment. Why was Jason friends with these people? According to friends, Lindsay was anti-drugs, so she surely would not have liked Jason's association with these people. According to one of Ziggy's friends, when they asked Ziggy if he knew what happened to Lindsay, he said it was a mistake and it should never have happened. Did Jason know of the drug operation? Was he the informant? Or was it his mother, Shirley? Of course, it's possible the informant was someone else entirely, and the Zalos have been caught up in something they had no connection with. Retired RCMP officer Gary Rogers, who said that Jeff Buziak was a liar, believes that the people responsible for Lindsay's murder are connected to the Mexican cartel. He firmly believes that Lindsay was framed as a police informant, but doesn't think that the Zalos had anything to do with it. Published on his blog, Rogers wrote, "It was to cover up and protect a real police informant who double-crossed an arm of the Sinaloa drug cartel in a multi-million-dollar cocaine loss. The two people directly involved in stabbing Lindsay to death are a Mexican brother and sister pair who are now long gone from Canada. However, the co-conspirators who fed Lindsay to the killers are still active in the Victoria area." The brother and sister pair Rogers is referring is likely Leopold and Amila Beltran. It has been 16 years since Lindsay Buziak was murdered and her death remains unsolved, but in 2021, Saanich police said that advancements in DNA analysis and other technology has created new leads in the case. In February each year, Jeff Buziak holds a remembrance walk for Lindsay to help keep the case in the public eye. Detective Sergeant Horsley of the Saanich Police Department, when talking about Lindsay, said, "You can be a person who just works and minds their own business in Victoria, yet through a very brief network of friends, you could be absolutely connected to people that are involved in very bad things."